On behalf of our visitors in particular, I'd just like to start by saying a word about the community. So, as a community, we have a life which we treasure and we're very grateful for. It's a life based on the gospel and on the rule of St. Benedict. And we've been very blessed from our foundation by Worth Abbey in 1971. Next year, we're celebrating 50 years. Then independence in 2003. And in the last 9 months, we've been very blessed to come together in prayer, friendship, and community online. Each person's joy and pain has become the joy and pain of each other. We're also a community which feels called to reach out to others. With our roots in the Catholic Church, we are ecumenical and we're proud of being a community which includes as equals Anglicans, Methodists and URC, and even one Jewish friend. In true Benedictine style, we feel called to welcome others in, and it's part of our charism. And the Balanced Life Project, which is why we're all here today, is our way of reaching out to young adults. So we deliberately conceived this project with a language which is simple and inclusive so that we can offer our welcome to any young adult who is looking to deepen their understanding of what leads to happiness. So, I would like to offer a huge thanks for where we are today and express my gratitude to those who have helped bring us here. So for this Balanced Life project and for the essay, I'd like to thank the organising committee, led by Mathieu Baril, who is one of the readers tonight. He has worked tirelessly many hours over the last months as chair. When I asked him what reward he would like, he said, "Don't worry, Adam. Catherine accepted my offer of marriage, so that is my reward." So that was very nice. The others on the organising committee are Catherine Simon, along with Claire Amalados, who's here tonight, Mike Willis, Barbara Simon, Catherine Fitzsimons, and Mike Woodward, who helped the judges. I would like to thank all members of our fantastic community for supporting this project so generously in many, many different ways. Now we move to the judges. So thank you to our judges, chaired by Tim Livesey. His multiple talents are known to all of us. With Father Timothy Radcliffe, it's wonderful to welcome you here tonight. And I'd forgotten about the Worth connection. Father Timothy is an international evangelist and former master of the Dominicans. He is known and he is loved throughout the world. And we really are delighted that he's here with us tonight. And also Kate Banks, who is an inspiring young theologian, teacher and speaker. I know because I attended her course on philosophy and did some catching up on stuff I should have done years ago, which was wonderful. And she also spoke at our Balanced Life weekend, and she's been one of the judges as well. I would like to thank the 36 young adults who wrote essays and contributed so much wisdom and insight, so generous with their time and sharing, and who will be a source of inspiration and we hope fellow journeyers in the next phase of the development of this project, which is very dear for our community to progress. And so now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, I have great pleasure in announcing who the 4 amazing essay winners are. So maybe when I just say your name, you would like just to say hello. I know it's a bit daunting. There's 59 windows open, so a lot of people online here, but I'm going to do it in alphabetical order, and the first person is Hannah Baylor. Hello, Hannah. Congratulations.
Much.
Will you just tell us a word? Where do you come from, Hannah?
Yes, so I'm here in Oxford. I'm training for ordination at Wycliffe Hall, and I'm a PhD student in theology.
Fantastic. And Hannah, you also had some links with the St. Anselm community, is that right?
Yes, so I was an integrated member 2 years ago, I think. Yeah, and now part of the alumni community.
Great. Well, congratulations on behalf of us all. We'd all love to literally clap, but I don't think that works on Zoom, unfortunately. Exactly, if we all do that or do
Yeah,
something. And again,
that's it.
so the second winner is Christina Bird.
Here I
So first of all, have you sorted Jonathan out to be
am. Not at all. He's liable to start shouting, possibly needs a potty. It's great timing.
Christina, would you like just to introduce we know Christina because she's a member of the community, but would you like just to say a word?
Yeah, so I grew up in the lay community. I spent a year living in Chile with the Manquehue community while I was at university. Right now, I'm a full-time mother to a very energetic toddler who is just here causing havoc. And in January, I'll be starting work part-time for Christians Against Poverty, heading up their local centre.
Fantastic. Thank you, Christina. So congratulations, Christina.
Thank you very much.
And our third winner is Scott Coleman.
So, I'm Scott. I'm a second year seminarian at St John's Seminary, Wonersh, for the Diocese of Arundel and Brighton. I'm originally from Birmingham, which is thankfully where I've managed to escape to now for Christmas with my parents back up here. But I've made my way southwards over the last 2 years, and I'm now at Wonersh and enjoying it thoroughly.
Great.
Well done, Scott. So congratulations, Scott. And then the last but not least, our last winner is Michael Livesey.
Hi, I'm Mike. And like Christina, I grew up in the lay community, so it's really nice to touch base with you all and see. It looks like you've been doing a really great job of doing virtual Vespers. I'm very impressed. I now live in Sheffield. I'm doing a PhD at the University of Sheffield in an obscure subject that I don't really understand. So it was really nice to write an essay on a completely different topic.
Well, congratulations, Michael.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to pass over to Tim Livesey, who's going to say a few words as chair of the judges.
Thanks, Adam. I was also going to start with some thank yous. And the first one, actually, first thank you is to everybody for coming this evening. And then secondly, to say thank you, obviously, to the 4 essayists, but also all of the 36. There may be others of you on with us this evening. I don't know. I do know there are lots of young members of the community, which is great, and it's really nice of you to come out and support those that have won the prizes this evening. And thank you, of course, to Timothy and to Kate. It was an enormous pleasure judging with you, really, really was. And I also must thank particularly Mathieu and Catherine, but I know others as well, the organising committee in effect, because although there were 36 entered essays, only 12 got to, we only got the pleasure of reading 12. So the 24 were read by a combination of members of the organising committee and possibly others I don't actually know, but it was felt that 12 was the right number for us to be judging between. So thank you very much to all of you for helping to produce the shortlist. A word about the process. Adam's asked me to give a word about the process, just a brief one. The first thing that I think I should say is it's probably important that everybody knows that when the essays were submitted, they were submitted to Mathieu, I think, but anyway, to the organising committee. And they were immediately anonymized. So when they were read by those who were judging them, that's either to get to the shortlist, or those of us who Timothy, Kate and myself, did not know who the authors were. Timothy and Kate got to read 12 essays. I only got to read 11 for reasons that you can probably guess. But we didn't know who the authors were, but we wanted from the outset to be sure that nobody was either handicapped in any way or preferred in any way on the basis of their identity. So we didn't know who they were. It was an enormous pleasure to read these 12 essays. I can't really tell you. Because we're going to ask Timothy to say a few words, I'm not going to steal any thunder, not that I possibly could steal yours, Timothy. But I would just say very briefly that two things that did strike me are the seriousness, in the best sense of the word, with which all the authors had approached the topics that were given to them. You know, in an age of, to some extent, rather cheap kind of news and comment, there was absolutely nothing glib about the way that certainly the 12 that I read had approached the task given to them. They'd done it with the most impressive seriousness. And then secondly, the generosity, which Adam has already mentioned, because, and I'll just speak now about the four young people who are with us this evening, all shared very generously their very personal experience and perspective. They were asked to write about the balanced life, but because of the time that they were asked to write, it was really, they were asked to write about their experience of lockdown and what living with this pandemic has shown them. And they did it, as I say, with seriousness and with great generosity, because, you know, there's nothing, the hardest thing to be generous with is yourself, and each of the four was very generous with themselves. And it was a great privilege for us to, as it were, receive the gift. And we were given criteria. I'm allowed to say now that we didn't feel too constrained by the criteria we were given. We did really take the view, I think, that these were gifts to be appreciated and savored in their own right, and not in accordance with any particular preconception that any of us might have about what is a balanced life. So we read them with open minds and open hearts, and we reaped a great benefit. I would love to say more about what I heard from these essays, but I'm not going to, because Timothy is going to speak, and also because actually Jane asked if I might write something for Listen about this experience. So I'll save my thoughts for that, and I will busily take notes when Timothy's speaking so that I can pretend that his thoughts were mine. Timothy, over to you.
Well, I felt immensely privileged, really, to be, and honoured to be asked to be a judge. This is especially so since I was at Worth Abbey from the age of 8 to 12 as a schoolboy, and I never won a single prize. As the summer approached every year, my parents would ask very delicately, is there any reason that they might need to be at prize day? And I'm afraid I always had to say no. So at last I made it, not to win a prize, but at least to be a judge. So that was very exciting for me. Secondly, I felt very nostalgic because a long time ago, I spent a lot of my time reading and assessing essays as a tutor. But the ones I read, I think, for this competition were really far superior to most of the ones I had to read back then. Though I never went as far as one Oxford Don I knew, who got so bored listening to an essay to read out aloud by his solitary pupil that he said, "I'm going to go for a walk now, but you just carry on reading." The first thing that struck me about all the essays I read really was that in every case I felt that I was meeting someone, that there was a real encounter with a person. And I longed to know what you all look like. And today I've been delighted actually to see 4 of your faces. And you don't look at all as I expected. But I think the best essays, you feel a sort of invitation to join a conversation that could go on for hours. And I think this is so unlike many of the homilies that we have to listen to, where you probably the great advantage these days is if you're watching them on Zoom, you can turn them off and go to sleep or go and get a cup of coffee. So thank you for that sense of encounter, which I think is the crucial thing in all good writing. The second thing that struck me was how beautifully written the essays were. If you've done any writing, and I've done a little writing, you know how costly it is to write beautifully. For most of us, words don't spontaneously flow onto the screen. So I was very struck by the effort and the time that you gave to write beautifully. And our society is in desperate need of beautiful writing because we've become terribly polarized as society. Many of us are stuck in our own little bubbles, talking only to people with whom we agree. And what we need, I think, in our world, if we're going to rebuild our fractured society, is to be able to reach out, touch, engage with, imaginatively, creatively, people who think differently. And what struck me with all these essays is that this is what you're all able to do. And for me, that's an immense sign of hope for the future. Now, when the 3 of us met, Tim and Kate and myself, it was extraordinary how quickly we agreed. There was a very rapid consensus. You know, I've been afraid that I might have been the doddering old judge, completely out of touch with what the relatively younger Tim thought, or the much younger Kate. But not at all. I had no sense of any disagreement between us. We had a shared perception of the essays that we wished to choose, but the only sadness was that all the essays were excellent. And it was very sad that they couldn't all receive prizes. It was like the caucus race, you remember, in Alice in Wonderland. At last, the dodo said, "Everyone has won and all must have prizes." I wish that all could have had prizes. So I thank not only the prize winners, but I thank everybody who wrote. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Father Timothy. That was wonderful. Thank you for that feedback and for going back to your roots as a tutor marking essays and for telling us that story. Thank you very much. So we're just going to hear now from Catherine, who's going to tell us about the next steps of the symposium. So Catherine is going to just say a word now.
Thanks. So as we've heard, there's been some really wonderful input that's come through all of the 36 essays. So we want to find a way to really share that with as many people as possible. And we also want to find a way to deepen our reflection, our collective reflection through the essays and beyond, about what the balanced life means, and how we can all sort of reflect on it together. So we want to take the chance to sort of prepare some new initiatives, and the first of those is this symposium. So we're planning to do a virtual symposium sometime in the new year, hopefully in Q1 of next year, if we can sort of organize it in the right way. And what we want to do is basically to use many of the ideas that came through this competition, and to sort of have the chance really to hear from some of the participants, some of the judges, and really as a way to kind of go deeper into this topic, and to examine the various pillars to the balanced life. So we're going to share more details with you all shortly, once we've been able to put a proper proposal together. But we really hope that all of you can join this event. Hopefully we'll double the numbers again today, if not more. And yeah, watch this space. We'll be coming back to you all with details about the symposium, and look forward to discussing further. I'm now going to hand over to Kate, one of the judges, who is going to be leading some of the reflection on the Balanced Life framework, and trying to make it sort of more robust as a framework, and more accessible, and you know, more actionable as well. So over to you, Kate.
Thanks very much, and thank you to Adam and Tim and Timothy and everyone involved in this project. It's been really, really wonderful. I'm going to keep this fairly brief, and also Timothy's already stolen all my good lines, so that's it's easy to say that. You'll just have to believe that he has. But through them, actually, just to bring them out, which I had already written down, Timothy, before you said them, was this sense of encounter. And it's interesting that actually that word has come up for both of us. That reading these essays, there was a real sense of encounter, and the idea of a conversation. Now, Timothy, you just said it was a conversation that could go on for hours. My understanding is that I'm being assigned a task that is meant to lead that conversation on for hours, hopefully, with all of the people who participated in this competition. So really my hope is to be in contact with everybody, and really dig a little deeper into the ways in which they have drawn on their own sense of tradition, and perhaps more explicitly a theological tradition, and to help that to shape the Balanced Life project a little bit more. So rather than it being all on me to you know, bolster the pillars of the Balanced Life, the hope would be to draw more from those who've already given so much in their essays. The only other thing I had to say that I really wanted to emphasize was another thing that Timothy's already said, which was that one of the things that struck me most in reading these essays, all of which had a very profound impact actually on reading. At one point, I was saying to Adam the other day, I had to stand up and go for a walk and take a bit of a break, because there was such incredible openness and vulnerability and a willingness to share, that it was slightly astounding. But one of the things that really stood out for me, especially among those who we chose as the final winners, was the use of imagery. And some of those images, you know, they work as an incredibly generous invitation to invite someone into those places of vulnerability. And thinking about the way that an image can be an invitation in that sense, it made me think of an image that struck me recently from Fratelli Tutti, in which Pope Francis is talking about unity and the art of encounter, and how do we think about this art of encounter that we need to nurture today. And he uses the image of a many-faceted polyhedron, and he calls it a variegated unity. And I really feel that part of the project going forward is to take the diversity and that sort of variegation that came through in these essays with these individual voices, and try and draw a unity in that diversity. And so I will think about the art of encounter and the many-faceted polyhedron as I read the rest of your essays and email you in the new year. So thank you again to everybody for including me in this project.
So thank you very much, Kate. Thank you for your participation. So we're going to end off now. I think on behalf of the whole community, I can say that we feel very blessed. We feel very blessed by the participation of all the people in this process. And so to close off tonight, we're going to ask Father Timothy if he will give us a final blessing.
Almighty God, the coming of your Son this Christmas may teach us the way of wisdom. May his love be born again in our hearts. Lift the veils from our eyes so that we may see each other with love and clarity, and so glimpse in every human being yourself, in whose image we are made. Give us the grace in all that we do and are, in our writing and talking, and even in silence, to touch people with your love in this time for many of isolation and loneliness. May each of us hear God say to us, I choose you. May the sick and those who are mourning know in their hearts that love is stronger than death. And may Almighty God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit come down upon you and remain with you always. And special prayers for Mathieu and Catherine.
That's lovely. Thank you so much. So a few of us are going to disappear off with the help of St. Peter and the angel Gabriel and a few others. And we're going to have a photo of the essay prize winners with Father Timothy and the judges. So Peter, will you whisk us off into a breakout room, please?
Okay. Anyone who sees join breakout room on their screen needs to click join. So that's just 10 of you, I think.
And thank you all for coming, and God bless everyone. God bless. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.